sign you can see here, it says Old Greenville. This is the Old Greenville before they moved it. Moved it in 1941, 2 miles north of here because of all the flooding. Right here on this bridge, they've actually put on their watermark lines of where the watermarks were in different years, and the very top one up there is May of 2011. That's got to be 20 feet high. And the very bottom one was April of 1927. So anyway, they're in chronological order from the bottom up. Well, I say that, but then I see one that says 1904 about halfway up the round column there, so they're not in chronological order. 1915. But anyway, that's the watermarks. It's just hard to believe looking at that bridge and then looking out in front out there that all of that you can see was underwater in May of 2011 and April of 1945. I mean, that is an incredible amount of water. Did I show you guys my remote office? Yeah, it's nice, real small, quaint. Got everything you need in there. Well, not everything you need, but it's got some things you need. The Wayne County Courthouse at Old Greenville. This is what the courthouse used to look like. I'm going to show you where the foundation is now, or what's left of it. So those are the side steps with this grand staircase you see in the front is on the other side, so I'll go around there and see where that's at. This is where the front of the courthouse was. As you can see, it is the same staircase that was in the picture around front. You can see some of the old pilings here and part of the foundation. But by the looks of it, it wasn't a very big building, but it was a grand looking building. Nice architecture. The 5th Wayne County Courthouse of Old Greenville was in use between 1926 and 1943. This building was designed by Martin Lubus, I guess, of Poplar Bluff. It was the largest and most substantial of the 5 courthouses and was only 14 years old when the Wapapello Dam was completed in 1940. The building was demolished in 1946 after the settlement was reached between Wayne County and the Corps, and a new courthouse had been completed and relocated town site 2 miles to the north. Harry S. Truman spoke here at the courthouse lawn during the first campaign for the U.S. Senate in 1934. This was also the site of the 1939 murder trial of the notorious Louise Myers, who poisoned her husband. Myers was convicted of that murder and sentenced to life in prison. That's a story all of its own. This is the story of the Louise that poisoned her husband. Apparently it didn't work out too good for her. In April 1939, Louise Myers of Gravelton, small town to the northeast of Wayne County, murdered her husband, Grover M. Myers, 54, by infusing his homemade tomato wine with insecticide. Never had a homemade tomato wine. Grover Myers was a construction supervisor working on the Wapapello Dam project. His April 15, 1939 death did not at first appear to be a murder. Dr. John Wagner determined the cause of death to be pneumonia and influenza. But after the neighbor overheard Louise and Oscar discussing Grover Myers' death, gossip eventually reached his sister, Alla Ada Whitener. Some of these names are hard to read. Suspecting foul play, she demanded the body be exhumed. And it was sent to the state crime laboratory in Jefferson City, where the forensics examination detected poison. Louise initially confessed to the murder, but later during a trial she testified that the idea to poison her husband was concocted by Oscar Strope, 39, with whom she was apparently having an affair. so they could be together after the husband's death. Louise also testified that Strope and another neighbor, Monita Cook, 22, were both present when the poison was mixed into her husband's tomato wine. When questioned by the prosecutor about why she poisoned her husband, Louise replied that he was mean to me. It's unclear if Grover Myers physically abused his wife, Louise, or if it's merely unkind. At the trial in Old Greenville, Louise Myers suddenly changed her story and pled guilty. She was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 99 years in prison. Louise served her sentence at the State Prison Farm No. 1 in Jefferson City. So I guess it just don't pay to poison your husband. You hear that? Don't be poisoning your husband, Kathy. It's just not a good idea. All right, let's see where Kathy got off to. And there she is. Hey, she's riding the dogs around. She's riding Gracie and Barkley around. They're just having a good time. It is hot out here. It's about 90 right now. Barkley's got his tongue run out.
He said, "Hey, Daddy." They like to keep going.
Okay, the old courthouse is directly behind me. This is the street going down in front of all the businesses that were here. So we'll ride down to the end of the street, and then we'll look at all the businesses on the way back. I'll tell you what they were. I'll show you where the foundations are now. This is Timmons Street, 5th. This is 6th Street and Timmons Street. And Holiday Avenue and Timmons Street. I didn't ride all the way down here the other day. Did you go down here past this? Sure if the city actually went down around this curve or not. The old concrete bridge there. Now, it's the end of the road. Looking straight down the street, right there, about there. Can't tell where I'm pointing on the camera, but you would have been looking at the old courthouse straight down there, just to the right of where that RV's at, on that little knoll. This is an original concrete bridge. And we can see what was sitting. The Greenville Methodist Church site. Really, all that's left of it is just little concrete bridge coming across, and it looks like maybe a landing to where a staircase or something might have been. There's really nothing else out here. You can walk out in it and see some rocks of maybe where pylons used to be for the foundation, but really nothing left there. It says in those days school and church was the life of the community. I think that's true even to today. In 1899, the Greenville Methodist Church was built with the best available materials. It had a seating capacity of several hundred people. Torn down in 1942, part of the salvage materials were used to construct the church in New Greenville. In 1979, the church was renamed Grace United Methodist Church. Looks like a really nice old church. Anyway, that's all that's left here of that is just a little bridge crossing the street, sidewalk, piece of concrete. This is also the original sidewalk. You can tell it's not in very good shape, but it is original, which I think is kind of cool for history. So let's ride up and see what the next one is. Okay, so this would have been where the Methodist Parsonage would have been, and for people who don't know what a parsonage is, it's where the preacher lived. And it was out in here. I really don't see anything except a little bit of old foundation or something right there. Really nothing left here of it. It says the building that served as a parsonage for the Methodist Church was located here. It was a stucco building built in 1928. It was last occupied by Reverend S.H. Anglin and his family. The building burned while occupied by the Anglins, and their 4-year-old son died as a result of the fire. And this newspaper clipping here just tells about the 4-year-old dying in it. It's tragic, but okay, so this is Holiday Avenue. Timmons Street is where it would have been, and then there was, if you went down Holiday Avenue, it goes down this way, and we'll go down there after we go up the main street here. Kathy has decided to take the dogs for a walk, I guess, down at the end of the road. She likes playing with the dogs. Okay, so there's a couple of things going on with this part of the trail that I didn't realize at first, but I just found this sign. It's the Trail of Tears original route. If you're not familiar with the Trail of Tears, just go look up that history. It had to do with the American Indians. Very tragic story. So this is Wapapella Dam, or Wapapella Lake, the old Greenville recreation area before the dam. This picture's really weathered. Anyway, this site here was the Greenville Sun post office. You can see it still has quite a bit of the foundation here, but apparently it was for the newspaper and the post office, so it wasn't all that big a building really. We're just making YouTube magic. Alright, so on this site, the Greenville Sun post office was here. The sign says, "I can remember my dad hauling in a load of wood to pay for the year's subscription to the newspaper." It was constructed in 1907 for the St. Francois Iron and Land Company. This building later, there they go. They're just having a lot of fun. This building later contained the offices of the Greenville Sun newspaper and the Greenville post office. Frank and Charles, I want to say it's Ingling House. Somebody can put down in the comments below if I'm wrong, but Charles Ingling House owned the newspaper. The second floor served as a meeting place for the Independent Order of Odd Fellows, it's IOOF lodge members. And I can't remember all the history of it, but they had something to do with the Masons, the Masonic Lodge. I just can't remember how all that comes together. Somebody else might can tell me a little more about it than I know. But this was a picture of the inside. Looks like a printing press, a big table where they were putting them together, and then you can see the lower and upper stories. So I guess the Odd Fellows Lodge was upstairs. Really interesting. I just like the old cool history. All right, let's go down and fight the sun here. But this is the side of the Turner-Durham store. As you can see on the left, it's a picture here of the Truman Metter and Willard Turner, son of the owner. If you can see them. And then this is a picture of the store in 1935 when William Helm owned the building, where Floyd Turner and Monty Durham had a grocery store and meat market. A year later, Mr. Durham sold the store and the company to Mr. Turner, who became the sole proprietor and moved the business. You see it's halfway underwater in that picture. They're back.
Did you get that camera
This is it I'm holding right here.
'Cause I lost it.
Oh. She just realized she has lost the camera riding around that I'm talking to you guys with.
Thanks, Paige, for my neck thing. It's awesome. It works great.
Keeping her cool. Barkley's got his tongue, well,
I
Gracie
just
got
gave
her
them a
tongue
drink
run
of
out too.
water. I just gave them a drink of water. I brought them a cup and a bottle of cold water and gave them a drink.
Did you bring me one?
I know.
I rode under the
Bring
dogs.
along? Hey, I found a new trail out in the woods over there.
Oh good, we'll go check it out here in a minute.
Well, it's awful thin.
We're gonna go down the rest of this road and then we'll go back up Holiday Avenue there.
Well, we got to ride because it's too hot.
Okay, this was Dr. Wagner's residence. You can see in the picture, it was way up past the front porch, flooding. And that's why they ended up moving the city. It just kept flooding here. You guys can freeze the TV if you want to and read that. Just tells a little bit about their personal life. Dr. John Wagner practiced medicine in Old Greenville for over 40 years though. So anyway, there's not really anything here either. Just kind of a shame to see the old history just go away and really nothing left to show that it was here, except little pieces of concrete here and there that you can find, like some of this. But really that's about all the remnants that's left. Just goes to show you that life's short. Make your mark on this earth while you can, because it all goes away. All right, let's go down to the next one. There they go. Said she's gonna ride to the boat launch. Said the fur babies was getting a little hot. I suspect she is too. So now that she's gone, she'll watch this later and I'll get in trouble, but I'm still gonna tell you. The concrete that you see across there, you got a step in the back side of it. Then you got this concrete step here. Anybody know what those are for? Well, that was for the women, and I suspect it was the short women, because that's how they got on their horses. You can see here it's called a stile block. It says when the ladies rode horses, they rode saddle side, which you can see she's sideways on here. So they just rode with their knees hung over, but they needed a way to get up on the horse. So this one here is the one that's across the street, right there. And it's got the step in the back side of it, so you can step up on here and then get up on your horse. But it's just a large concrete block. It's called a stile. It was used by people, especially women, when mounting and dismounting horses and carriages. Just thought that was really interesting. But I'm always taking short joke stabs at Kathy, so this is just another funny one. I'm sure I'll get a slap on the back of the head when she sees this, but anyway, I just thought it was funny. Thought I'd share with you guys. All right, let's go down the street a little bit and I'll show you another one. All right, so this is 6th Street and Timmons Street, and this was the site of the Strickland store. You can see they got an article here for the specials of the day, and it's so weather beaten I really can't make out what it says, but it sings in cents instead of dollars, so just kind of give you a comparison to today. But apparently you could get anything you needed there. It said the store sold for cash, but most customers bought on their credit, paying once a month. Some even worked for the merchandise, ranked wood, ironed, just the best they could pay for. So hats off to Mary Lou Owens. She apparently posted this in 1992. Great history. Here's a picture of the inside of the store. Looks like a lot of the pictures I've seen from the past. It says stores sold generally dry goods from 1927 to 1941. Harry, called Wendy Worsham, had a radio shop on the side of the building. The left side remained a sidewalk, reveals holes where the posts of the awning were anchored. don't know where the, oh, I do see the post. Okay, so had an awning on the side, and I guess these right here were the posts. Again, not a huge awning, probably was not a huge building. Apparently back then they built buildings unlike we do. They built them for what they actually needed and not to make them huge and glorious and overspend on them. So anyway, had a radio shop on one side of the building, and that's pretty much it. Just a general store for everything. It's the way it used to be. You didn't have Walmarts and Targets and all this other stuff we have now. You had a general store and had a good relationship with them. Well, you hope you did anyway. And like I said, once a month people paid it off or they worked for it. Did I tell you it is hot out here? Man, this sun is beating me down. I just checked, it's 92 degrees. Anyway, I'm gonna sweat it out for you guys. All right, let's go down the street a little further. Moving Greenville in 1941 above the pool of Wapapella Lake. Like I told you guys earlier, I thought it was 1941, but I couldn't remember. You can see in this picture where it was flooding in 1933, and then this is where they're moving some of the houses in 1941. They moved 40 houses from the original town to where it is now, 2 miles north, and it's above the pool level of Wapapella Lake. So I won't read this whole thing to you, but they were able to do it by annexing a really small, they call it a ribbon piece of land, to get to where it is 2 miles up the road, and that's how they were able to annex it in and still keep it the county seat. In the new part of town, they built a new courthouse, a jail, and a school, and it was built on higher ground at the northern town site. They moved the 40 houses. The ones they did move, the rest were demolished. And this was the site of Barber's store. All that's left here looks like just the front steps going in. There's nothing, I mean nothing left here. I walked around trying not to get snake bit looking for any pillars or anything that's out there. There's absolutely nothing here. But as you can see here, they were big into fur trades. And that's a picture of the old store. Ed Barrow and his son were the ones that owned the grocery store. It was on the first floor of the building. The second floor, they bought and sold the furs. It says they often hosted a good game of cards there as well. But that's all that's left here. This next site going up the street, which is on the corner of 5th Street. We're just walking up Timmons Street, but this is 5th Street, the corner. And this was a car dealership and gas station, or they called it a filling station. As you can see, again, the footprint is not really big compared to like dealerships these days. I mean, this was actually a fairly small building, so can't imagine they had much in there. Probably a couple of cars, but back then they didn't have 50 different types of cars, so I don't guess it was too hard to do it. And then right here in the front where they have these information stands, that's where the gas pumps were at originally. And again, nothing's really changed here. You can still see the sidewalk. There's the road, sidewalks on the other side. Where that comes through is where the actual street came through. Went right down through there. Gas station was called Hunter's Resort Conoco. And then you had number 2, of course it's showing you here on this map where all the gas stations were. And number 3 was a Coltex station. Never heard of that, but you can see they're on boats at the gas station. Pretty sure that's not right. Phillips 66. Apparently they had a lot of cars running around here to have that many gas stations. Then you had the dealership, J. Arthur Davis dealership. Says, I remember when I was a kid, Mr. Davis gave me a quarter for my place at the Hastings Barber Shop. He was in a hurry and I was happy to give him my place. The quarter was the easiest money I ever made. J. Arthur Davis sold cars in this building. One brand, the Whippet. Not familiar with that. I guess you guys can go look that up if you don't know what it looks like. I guess maybe that's what a Whippet looks like. It said the Whippet sold for about $600. A lot of money back in the early 20s. From 1922 to 26, Mr. Davis was Wayne County's collector. Later, Charles Absher sold Chevrolets. Then Clarence A. Barks and James Goodwill founded the Greenville Motor Company and sold Studebakers. Latin Kenneth Wilkinson owned the Mighty Good Coffee Company on the right side of this building. So they had coffee companies even back then. So this was the side of the Smith home. And again, one of those rocks you can get up on off the horse. But there's, again, absolutely nothing here in this field to show that there was ever a home here. But this is the Smith home. It says he died in 1926, and later Miss Smith occasionally rented rooms to the public. The Smith house was known for its unique ornamental iron fence. That was a thing back then. Also showed that you had a little bit of money if you could do that. Next up the street is the Ownby residence. The house was owned by Isaac or Ike Daffrin and later by George and Nora Ownby. They rented rooms to the public and served meals for as low as 25 cents. The building was built using concrete blocks with an imitation stone face. Doesn't give a year or anything, but again, there's nothing here. Just glad somebody preserved the history to let us know what it was. Hastings Barbershop. All that's left of Hastings Barbershop is the walkway. And a little bit of a concrete pad. So if that was all of the barbershop, it had enough room for about a chair maybe, but I'm assuming it probably was a little bit bigger than that, but maybe not. Things were built a lot smaller back then. But you can see here in this picture, it had at least 2 chairs in there, but I don't know, maybe that was maybe whoever took this picture was standing in the corner. It said Sam Hastings was quite a fisherman. He loved to fish and he'd stand there and talk about fishing about half the time. It's taken him a long time to cut your hair because he'd have to stop and tell you how long that fish he caught. The picture above shows Mr. Hastings giving Floyd Huey a shave while Windard, some strange names back here, Windard Crony looks on. The man visible in the mirror is Clint Turner. Mr. Hastings charged 25 cents for a haircut and 15 cents for a shave. But that's all that's left. I got some big rocks here, but I really don't think these had anything to do with horses. I think these are just the way that the Corps of Engineer here keeps people from driving in around these posts to drive cars down here. I don't think they have anything to do with the blocks like down the street for the horses. So we're coming up to the corner of 4th Street next. We're at the corner of 4th Street and Timmons Street. And there is a little bit of foundation left here from some of the buildings that were here. You can see up there is a concrete pad for part of some building, I'm not sure which one, and then off the sidewalk right here Looks like a walkway up to maybe what used to be a part of a staircase is still laying there in the grass. That's about all that's here. But they've got this nice little information stand here. And it says, Old Greenville's accommodations, hotels, and tourist cabins. So apparently they had plenty of places for travelers to stay when they came through. They had a tavern, polk service station, and tourist cabins, easy for me to say. They had another tavern, and then a lee shell, and then a hotel, St. Francis Hotel, and another hotel, Leclede Hotel maybe. I'm not sure if it's how you pronounce that or not. I'm probably chopping that up really good. But again, it's all gone. So whatever the floods didn't get was demolished. But you can see these days, really nice green area for the Corps of Engineer campground here. So that's a tour of the old town that was here. That's Kathy's bike. I rode her bike this morning because I was visiting with a bunch of people and it was easy to carry a chair on it. But just imagine back in the day, all of this right here had buildings on it, people walking up and down the street. It's a thriving little town. You have to use your imagination, but that's why I like history. You get to use your imagination a little bit, try to figure out what people did back then, what their hobbies were, how the way of life was. Sometimes I think things were simpler back then, although I know life was a lot harder. People didn't live as long typically because of the advancement in medicine that we have now. But this makes you wonder. Turn around and look the other way. You can see Highway 67. It's a pretty busy highway. Even over there in that part of the park was a part of the old town. It's got a few information stands over there that I haven't looked at. But I took you for what I would call the downtown. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you haven't, or if you did in the past, go look and see if you're still subscribed. If you're not, think about subscribing. It's free, don't cost you nothing. So I'll see you guys again. Make each day count 365 and continue the journey. We'll see you a little later.